Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Festival of Enterprise Covid-19 webinar series. I'm David Stevenson, your host, and I'm joined this morning by Olly Whittle from Swarm Social. Good morning, Olly.
Morning, good morning. How you doing?
I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing personally very well. Great to have you on again, Olly, one of our favorite guests.
Thanks.
And one of our most popular. Olly will be discussing, again, stuff themed around Facebook and Instagram. And today's session is going to be focused on how to run successful Facebook and Instagram ads during the current crisis, the COVID-19 crisis. So I'll pass it over to Olly, who will take us through a presentation and some insights into that topic, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers at the end.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for sparing your time to tune in, and I hope some of this will be helpful. We're going to look at Facebook and Instagram ads that have proven to be successful during the last 3 months, whilst typically a lot of people are not buying, or some sales have dropped for other businesses. I want to show you some good examples where people have actually expanded their businesses and how they've done that. So I'm going to launch this presentation, which hopefully you will be able to see. Can you see that okay?
That's shared the web browser, so we can see sort of a copy of. We're both still visible. And
okay, I'll try again.
Micro. The application window option isn't there?
It's a different one on Firefox. Is that any better?
Well, unfortunately, we're still seeing the ourselves.
Let me try.
The presentation is very small. Sorry, everyone, just bear with us. We had a bit of a technical issue this morning, and the system has decided to take an extra long bank holiday. Still.
Is that better?
There we go. That's much better.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great.
There we go.
Let me know if it's too small or too big or something. I'll try and zoom in. But yeah, so as I mentioned, the Facebook and Instagram ads that have generated sales during COVID-19, I'd like to share with you a case study, some products that I've actually picked out, which show an upward trend by using Google Trends tool, COVID messaging, which companies are using to be able to engage with audiences, the changing creatives, ad strategies which have been working at the moment, and how to set those up. So just as a quick example, this is a home decor company that I work with who have doubled their sales from February, March and April. So whilst I understand it's a difficult time, there is, in the most sensitive way possible, there is opportunity out there to grow your business if you're in the right industries. And I wanted to sort of suggest some products or industries that are doing very well at the moment. And I appreciate that some of these products might not relate to your business or the items that you're selling, but I wondered whether if there was a way of incorporating some of these, or trying to find others which are seeing a surge at the moment. So these charts here is searches in the UK on Google over the last 12 months. So as you can see here, something like bike pump is fairly steady throughout the year, and then in the last 2 or 3 months has taken a rapid incline in searches and has sort of maintained that at the top here. And same thing for outdoor lights. And you can see that typically over the last 12 months, the main spike in trend is November and December in the middle here. But now more people in their gardens, more people spending time at their homes. There's been a big surge, which doesn't normally occur in the last 12, at that time in the last 12 months. And what I want to kind of explain and share with you is that the trends which we normally see are not happening at the moment. So there's a very much unexpected, unusual behavior by people, but at a time where you could be finding new products or pushing products that you might usually push in the winter, which you might be able to push at the moment. So to give you another example, which I haven't actually included here, but a company that I work with is they're seeing a big spike in slipper sales at the moment. Now, normally you would not expect in any way to be selling slippers in May or the lead up to summer, but obviously more people are spending time at home. So there's a big surge. So it's just trying to understand the trends and trying to be adaptable in the sense that things are not how they normally are. And then just a couple more examples here with the crochet kits. Again, people spending time at home, big spike recently, corner sofas, people wanting to improve their homes at the moment, another spike, and skateboards, where people have found it as a good form of exercise during these times, and there's been another spike. So that's on Google Trends. You can literally Google Trends and then type in a term and understand where the spike has been, and you can filter that by 12 months, 5 years, etc. So in terms of the actual messaging itself, my big point here would be don't run your old messaging. So even recently, I've had adverts come through saying, "We're boat ready, are you?" And that's just so grinding with the customer, because no one's boat ready, no one's using their boats. They have done obviously in the last couple of days, but typically leading up to that, they haven't. And a shoe company running with the headline "Start Your Adventure Today," which is really difficult sort of message to receive in these kind of circumstances, and you feel like the company's not emphasizing with you or not sort of connecting with the situation. So I've suggested a couple of headlines here, a couple of ideas for text and where they might fit. So for instance, if you're selling crafts, you might want to talk about it being a home hobby, the perfect time to take up a new craft. For home office equipment, talk about easy storage, because people are turning their kitchen tables into an office for the day, and then they want to be able to pack that away. Things that are selling really well at the moment are the laptop stands. So talk about how they can use that and then put it away easily. Fitness equipment, how you are able to use it at home, get fit at home, get summer toned for the summer, and all the equipment can be used by being hooked over doors, etc. Crafts, again, talking about relaxation, stress relief. A lot of people looking for these types of items at the moment just to feel relaxed, calm, and enjoy their time. And also talking about DIY, things like gardening or things around the house. People, all those jobs that people have been putting off so long, is the perfect time to do them at the moment. These types of messaging that you want to try and include in your ads so that people resonate with what you're trying to say. One that I've been using at the moment for companies selling posters is it time to fill your empty walls? Obviously, people are in their house or have been more recently, and about filling those blank walls. Kitchenware, a new passion for cooking. Kitchenware and kitchen items are doing really well at the moment as people are sort of cooking more from home, but sort of experimenting more as well. And puzzles has been a huge seller over the last couple of months, and that's just about keeping active, keeping your brain active, and just a form of entertainment. So a couple of suggestions there in terms of the headlines or the text that you might use if some of those relate to the business that you're running, and also getting in that kind of mindset if you're not selling those particular products, but you can talk about the same type of messaging. And that relates also to the creative. So I'm still seeing a lot of ads coming through where, for instance, people are talking about barbecues. We're coming into the summer now, and they're still using these pictures of groups of people and this guy feeding this lady here. And it just feels weird. It just feels slightly inappropriate. And it just feels as though almost that product is one that you don't connect with because it's something you don't feel that you can use at the moment with those groups of people. So think about, you know, the images and creatives and videos that you can be using, which is very much appropriate for these times. And it might just be a couple barbecuing together, and the messaging relates to that. And I think it's really important that you do check any ads that you have been running, or that you're going to launch, and make sure it's appropriate for these times at the moment. And I would say that it's worth considering. And then looking at the actual strategies itself. So this comes from Facebook themselves, who I've spoken to. So fairly reliable source, I'd say. And the big problem at the moment is the algorithm which they've set out is relearning at the moment. So effectively what it's done over the last years, and also they tweak it themselves, but it learns itself also, is they understand how people are buying, and they serve your ads to those people accordingly, to the best audience at the right time, with the best creative sometimes. And it's really taken time to understand when you serve an ad, where it can find the best audience to generate sales for you, because ultimately that's what they want to do for you so that you spend more money. And in the past, the best ads that have been working have been when you can create lookalike audiences. So that is, if you don't know, I'll just explain quickly, is that you are telling Facebook, these are people who have made a purchase on my website. Please go and find other profiles that fit them. Or you might say, these are people that have visited my website. Please go and find people, again, that match that kind of traffic and serve my ad to them. And there's different lookalike audiences you can do: video views, engagement, viewing a particular page, viewing a percentage of videos. And historically, those have worked really well. But Facebook's struggling a little bit at the moment to be able to find those audiences as accurately as it did, because people's behaviors has completely changed. So particularly at the beginning of lockdown, there was a huge influx to the platform itself, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, but very few people were buying. So it was having to work much harder to find people who would make a purchase. And therefore the algorithm itself, which we typically rely on for these lookalike audiences, is currently in a phase of learning. So as a result of that, the best strategies at the moment is that you go for broader audiences. And that would be looking at people who are based in a location and being very broad with those as well. You might just set an age range and a location, or if the location's small enough, like I would say, if the location is around 200 to 500,000 people, then just leave it as location. Or you could just target one particular interest and leave it as that, rather than putting in lots of different filters. Or again, you can just target ages and gender, and you can be very broad. So the example I've got here is London and 40k radius. That's all ages, and I've just selected women here, and it's given me an audience size. You can see in the top right of the screenshot of 4.8 million people. And that's a relatively large audience, but it gives Facebook the opportunity to serve that ad to as many people as it can, and try and find the best audience for you to be able to make those sales. So I would say this is a big strategy which has changed recently. Before lockdown, I was running 90% lookalike audiences. Since lockdown, and currently running at the moment, I've been running broader audiences, which is just targeting and location. So something which is hopefully helpful for you guys.
Olly, before you start,
yeah,
maybe you could just expand and make that bigger. Oops.
Yeah.
Because the actual Facebook, it's difficult to see what the yeah, perfect. Just so people can see.
That's just an example of targeting. So I've actually got no interests in this targeting option. I'm just targeting a location of London and 40k, and I've done all ages, and I've targeted women, and that gives me an audience of 4.6 actually. So it's these targeting bigger, broader audiences, which is working better at the moment. Typically, the strategy I run, which I'll show you here, is what's working for me and clients I'm running sites for, ads for at the moment. So what I do is I have one ad campaign, and that has the same age, gender and location, creative and copy. So I'm effectively having the same ad bar one variable, and that one variable is interests. So if I'm running an advert for t-shirts, for instance, I would have everything exactly the same, but I would change the interest, and I would have 10 different interests, and I would set a budget of £5 per day on each of those ad sets. So if it's t-shirts, for instance, the 10 different interests, just to name a couple of them, would be something like t-shirts, clothing, online shopping, tops, women's clothing, if it was women's clothing, those types of things, which Facebook will also give you suggestions on related terms. So if you put in women's clothing, for instance, it will make some suggestions on related terms. So you set it up with one campaign. Within that campaign, you have 10 ad sets. I personally spend £5 per day on each ad set, and I target one interest per ad set, a single interest. A lot of people at the moment are having multiple interests in one ad set. But the problem with that is you don't actually know which one's working. So it's very difficult to then filter and double up on those successful ads. So, if I bundled all the interests that I mentioned together, it would then be very difficult for me to build a profile of my audience if I don't know exactly which of those interests were converting to sales. And then what I do, I let that run for 2 or 3 days. And then on the third day, I check it to see which of the ad sets have got sales. And if they've got about 5 sales, 3 to 5 sales, then I'll look at increasing the budget on them. If they've got no sales, then I'll just turn them off. So the idea is that within that first 3 days, you're just testing those different interests. And then by the end of the week, probably you are cutting out the underperforming ads and focusing your attention on the performing ads. And therefore your money and your advertising is being as focused as possible and going to the best ads. And from there, you continue to scale up on the most successful ads, and then also start bringing in more interests which are related to the ads that are getting sales. And you do that in a sort of fairly careful, slow manner so that you're not overspending and you're remaining within your budget. So I hope that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment, and what's working generally, touch wood. And yeah, that's pretty much the strategy, to be honest, quite simply, that has got these sales up here, which has seen a doubled month on month. As I was promised, I'm happy to look at anyone's ads. There's this link at the top here, just a way to get in contact and send your Facebook page and website so I can have a look and then get in contact, and I'm happy to look at your ads for you. This resource here, this middle one, is Facebook offering free ad budget or ad spend companies. I don't think it's actually running in the UK yet, but worth registering, and then you'll be one of the first that they get in contact. And this link here is basically what Facebook is suggesting how to respond. So one thing you need to be very careful of, going back here, and I've suffered from this a couple of times recently, is there are certain terms that Facebook say you can't use. They include like the most obvious ones like Covid-19, coronavirus, a cure, vaccine, those types of words Facebook don't like, and they're actually being quite aggressive in terms of they won't often just reject your ads. They'll often close your page down as well. So do be careful. Don't even take the risk and using words like that. And ones that I found recently, which is not even on that resource, is isolation. I had all my ads rejected because I talked about a crafts item being used in isolation as a home hobby. So it's worth checking this resource here, this link, because it will tell you what they don't want you to use. And I would strongly advise that you stick to that as well, because it can be quite severe, the punishment, and trying to get your page back or your business manager back is really difficult at the moment because there's such a backlog, because they've been over aggressive in how they shut people's pages down, and now they're sort of customer services at max trying to recover those. So yeah, hopefully some of that was helpful. As I say, it's I would say a relatively simple process in terms of being able to get to those numbers. You know, I have literally implemented what I've laid out here, and the way, to be honest, that I've been doubling up these numbers is just related to this concept here of testing different interests, finding best interests, and then shutting down underperforming ads and scaling up every 3 days on ads that are returning a good sales or good ROI. So hopefully that can work for you guys. And yeah, please get in contact and I'll be happy to talk to anyone. If you guys want to, happy to take any questions or anything like that as well, that might help.
I was on mute there, I realized. So a bit of an echo there. But the link that we posted there, a couple of comments.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, okay. Let's put this down. Is that better? Yeah. I posted and it's expired.
The Bitly. Oh, for the Facebook resources.
Yes.
Okay. Let me have a look then. Facebook. Right, I'm just quickly trying to Google it. So, I mean, if anyone, hopefully it's this link, but if anyone, oh yeah, here you go. I think this is it. Yeah, hopefully that's an active link. It seems to be working okay for me. So it's not the exact resource that Facebook sent me. If you want that, just send me an email and I'll try and find it for you, one with an active link.
Great. I will post your email at the end. Yeah, maybe can you go on mute for a second, Olly?
Go on mute. Yeah.
Is that better? Yeah, that seems to be cutting out the echoes. So maybe we can. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to sort of toggle on the mute on and off, so that I don't sound like Darth Vader. There are a few questions coming through. Thank you for that presentation, by the way. Very informative as always. The Tech definitely seems to be taking an extra long weekend this today. So we have a question from Peter Monks rather, asking if you could demonstrate quickly how you duplicate to get to 10 ad sets from one setup in Ad Manager. You're on mute now.
Hi.
You're on mute now.
Hi, Peter. I've spoken to Peter, so I hope you're well. Yes, so I'm going to need to share my screen. Can you see my screen, my Ad Manager? Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go these are the campaigns running. Then I'm going to go into a campaign. So up here, it's changed to ad sets for one campaign. Then I'm going to take a performing ad set, and I'm just going to roll my mouse over it, and I'll see view charts, edit, duplicate. Then I'm going to hit duplicate. Then it's going to ask me how many times I want to duplicate it. So I'm going to definitely include existing comments and stuff like that, because there's social proof on the ad. Then duplicate it up to 10 times. Hit duplicate, and then for each of those new ad sets that have been duplicated, so I've got 10 new ad sets, I'll then go in and edit the interests. So each 10 ad set has a different interest running. So that's how you do it.
Great. Thank you. Sorry, do you mind saying your name again, and I'll try and address some of the other questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Just mute you for a second. There we go. Okay. Neelam is asking, what do you mean by ad sets? I think you just addressed that.
So you've got at an ad structure level, you've got ad campaign, ad sets, and ad. The campaign is, well, best word is campaign as a whole. Within that campaign, you have different ad sets that are running. And that's typically different interests, different variations of the main campaign. And then an ad, which is the third part, is where you can just change like the, you can test different creatives, for instance, but the interest stays the same. So it's sort of, it's a spider web in the sense that it stems off from the main campaign and sort of gets, there's less and less that you can change. Typically, I just run campaigns and different interests ad sets. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Thanks, Olly, for muting there. That's helpful, very helpful. So Isabel is asking another question here. Do you mean you add interests within one ad set when they are working, or adding an interest in a new asset after deleting those that don't?
Do you mean add interest within one ad set when they are working, or adding an interest in a new ad set? Yeah, so add a new interest when they're working, or add an interest. Yeah, so if you've got an ad that's working, do as little as you can to change it or edit it, even if, I would say sometimes, even if you're getting an ad set that's doing really well and you realize that there's a typo or something like that, just leave it. Because basically when you make a change, Facebook relearns, and you don't want Facebook to be relearning anything if it's producing results. You know, that's annoying when there's a typo, but I would say just don't change it. Yeah, so when when they're working. Yeah, so leave that ad running, and then duplicate that ad set, and then put in another interest, or don't bulk interests into an ad, because it's harder for you to know what's working. But if that initial ad is working, increase the budget on it as well.
Great. Thank you, Ollie. Isabel has a follow-up question here. She was told that you need 7 days Facebook to work the ads, for Facebook to work the ads. Is that true?
I wouldn't say there was any definitive time in terms of how long it takes an ad to work. I would say that some take longer than others, and basically what that is Facebook trying to find your audience that are going to make a purchase. So what they would do initially is that they were actually sort of spread it out quite wide, and try and find as many people who might be interested, or people that they know historically have made a purchase, and serve it to those people to try and generate a purchase on your website, which is similar to a purchase they made elsewhere. So that can take a bit of time sometimes, and sometimes you may also find out that your own website sales funnel needs a bit of needs smoothing out, or needs some changes made. You can get sales within a couple of hours of launching an ad. Other times you can get sales that take longer. I would say if you're running a whole campaign with 10 interests in there and you've got 0 sales after 3 days, I would be really checking closely on what's happening. So are people adding to the cart but not finishing the purchase? That suggests that they're unhappy with like the shipping costs, or the purchase procedure is difficult. Are people not even clicking through on your ads? Are you getting cost per clicks like over £1, for instance? That suggests that the ad's not resonating with them. So I would say it's really difficult to say as a definitive answer. I would say if you're not getting sales after 3 days, you need to check your whole ad campaign and website setup. Not website setup, the funnel itself.
Great. Let's just mute you for a second. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for that. So, yeah, something odd is going on with the internet this morning. It's working very sporadically. We have a few more questions that have just piled in all at once. So thank you for that answer. Fiona is asking, wondering if you could give a quick overview of the difference between A/B testing and dynamic creative, and just putting different ads against the same set. I'm struggling to tell the difference and wondering which is best to do.
Yeah, okay, so I personally don't use A/B testing that much, only because the A/B testing that Facebook allows you to do, I do effectively A/B test against my own ads, but not necessarily the way that Facebook have set it up, only because I haven't had particularly great results from it. And I've even had Facebook offer across different accounts like $100 to be able to test A/B testing, and I didn't even get great results when it wasn't even my money. So I haven't really used it a lot, but may answer your question slightly that I haven't had great results, and that's why. Dynamic creative, I've actually started using more and more, and the pros behind dynamic creative is that effectively you can it takes out the guesswork a little bit, so it can be quite difficult that you've got to nail your first ad, and that means that you've got to get your ad copy, your creative, your headline, your description right the very first time to get sales, and that can be really difficult because even sometimes a couple of words, the headline, they can make a massive difference to your ad success, and such small things sometimes. So dynamic creative allows you to test against each other and allow Facebook to find the best results and the best audiences that resonate with what you've produced. So it's not just such a big punt on one primary text or one headline. And yeah, I've been finding those work really well at the moment. And I run 3 to 5 different texts or headlines, and then you can filter down and find out which ones of those have worked best. And then I tend to take those and scale hard on the winning headline or primary text for other ads. So hopefully, I'm struggling to tell the difference. Yeah, they are very similar. I personally have had more results from dynamic creative, so hopefully that answers. Hopefully, it answers your question.
Great. Thank you, Ollie. Thanks for that. Letta is wondering if you can just clarify what is meant by interests a little bit, because she's not clear on it.
Yeah. So interests is. Let me try and. So interest is, for instance, that hopefully you can see my screen again.
Yeah.
And an interest, for instance, is this on this particular ad. I am targeting JD Sports, and that's an interest whereby people that Facebook knows like the JD Sports page, or they've searched JD Sports, or they deny this, but I'm pretty sure they've heard you speak on your microphone about JD Sports. It's not loading at the moment, sorry, so it's just taking a bit longer. But yeah, it's an interest in that sense.
Great.
Sorry, I couldn't demonstrate there, it just wasn't loading.
Fair enough. I think that was clear. And Neelam is wondering what makes a really good ad. What do you need to consider in ad content?
Okay, yeah, cool. So I can tell you what I'm doing at the moment, and where I'm typically getting my best results is that I am creating a 45-second video. It doesn't have to be high budget, far from it, in actual sense, like some of the sort of almost home built videos, which demonstrate the product very clearly within the first 3 seconds. So give your main USP straight away, and then run different quick snippets of the product, demonstrating how it can be used, what its USPs are, why they should be buying from you. Run some subtitles along those videos, because typically, it's probably changed slightly now. Typically, people don't listen to the videos themselves because they're probably traveling. As I say, that's different now, but that was the case. So have those subtitles anyway. Then I tend to do a longer primary text if they don't know the company. So someone like Nike just using like 5 words, like the best shoes ever, for instance. Whereas if you're a smaller company, I think you need to have longer text, and that first line in the primary text should be a really good description of what the product is and what problem it solves. Then have another paragraph about why people should buy from you, or why people should use the product actually, and what problem it's going to solve. Then I talk about, sometimes I do some bullet points of the USPs or the benefits, and then typically at the end of the ad copy, I highlight things like free shipping, money back guarantee, donations to charity, things like that. Then in the headline, I do something which relates to the first line on the primary text. So if you've talked about some garden lights, which are LED charged, solar charged, then I put that in the headline as well. So headline is normally the first thing that people's eyes are drawn to. and then they go up to the main text. So make sure that those two connect. In the description, I normally have like a short couple of words like free shipping in capitals, money back guarantee, like one of these, not all of them. Rated 5 stars on Trustpilot. I also put that in the main text as well. Yeah, so if you don't have a video or can't put one together, like I would suggest you do anyway, go to something like fiverr.com, and you can literally get a video done for like $30 or so. Otherwise, use a carousel. Those are the best performing ads for me as well. So it's video or carousel, and then set it up the way I described, and hopefully you'll get some results. If not, give me an email and I'll try and help.
Great, thanks, Ollie. And always very kind. At the end, I'll post all these details. Ollie is very helpful and willing to sort of give people answers, obviously up to reasonable within a reasonable amount before it turns into actual work. But we'll discuss that at the end. We have another question here from Leanne, wondering, in your experience, where do you get the most sales engagements, Facebook or Instagram? I'm guessing it depends on the product messaging. Our business is an IT help desk. We have Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm thinking of reaching out onto Instagram, wondering if it's the correct audience.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, it's massively product dependent. So I find that the older generation, you get better sales from Facebook. Younger generation, you get better sales on Instagram. That's not always the case, but generally works like that. I would say LinkedIn is very expensive. So you're looking at possibly like 5 times the amount to get, even a click or engagement or anything like that. It's a very expensive way of doing it. But if your audience is there and active, it can be fruitful. You're an IT help desk. So you're talking about possibly Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, from the ads manager that I demonstrated a minute ago, because Facebook owns Instagram, they push the ads out across Instagram as well, unless you tell them not to. So you could always test that and run an ad, allow it just to push the ad wherever it chooses to, and then filter down and understand where you're getting your best results from. So if you find that you're getting your inquiries or your sales via Instagram and not Facebook, then you can tell it to stop serving your ad to Facebook. Initially, I would allow it to do its work and then kind of find out what's working for you. So hopefully that's helpful. Sorry, a bit vague, I think, but hopefully helpful.
And Ollie, so Facebook will push your ads over Instagram, even if you don't have an Instagram page? Yeah,
that's right. So if you don't have an Instagram page, it'll push it out across to Facebook. If you don't have an Instagram page, it'll push it across to Instagram. The only thing that the user won't be allowed to do, or you can't do, is that they won't be able to click on the profile of the Instagram ad. So typically, it's worth having a profile set up anyway, because people will look at the Instagram page and just check that you're sort of, a trustworthy business. So it just removes that function. You can't click onto an Instagram profile because there isn't one set up, but you can still serve the ad.
Yes, I mean, I personally, as an Instagram user, like to be able to click on the profile. So if you don't have an Instagram profile, it may be worth considering maybe not using Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely have an Instagram profile set up. Even if it's obviously the more active, the more benefit you're going to get from it. But don't feel you need to be updating it every day. It's just good to have some content on there and some followers. It's just building that trust all the time. Particularly at the moment, there's a massive skepticism, I would say, with people making purchases. So I get inquiries all the time saying, are you even open for business? Will you even deliver on time? People are nervous at the moment, which is understandable because so many businesses are struggling. So anything that you can add a bit more trust, like having a profile, Instagram profile and stuff like that, is just going to increase your chances of someone having making a purchase with you.
Great. That's really useful advice. And as always, Ollie, very very useful content and helpful. And I want to. I think we're probably getting close to the end of the questions now. So I've put your contact details there in the chat. So it's ollie@swarmsocial.co.uk, and the website is www.swarmsocial.co.uk. So if you have needs to take take a more serious approach to Instagram and Facebook ads, or you need some help in understanding what the best approach is, then you can reach out to Ollie, because he is very knowledgeable on the subject.
Yeah, and I'm very happy just to answer people's questions as well. Like, feel free just to email me to say, how do I set this up, or what interest should I add here? I've done a couple of webinars, and in fact, been pleased to speak to a couple of people, which hopefully helps. So feel free, just reach out, and I'll help where I can.
As always, Ollie, very generous with your time. Thank you for joining us this morning, and obviously thank you everyone also for joining us on the webinar. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I know everyone is probably getting excited about the bank holiday weekend coming up.
Yeah. Happy bank holiday to everyone.
Happy bank holiday to everyone, and hopefully the weather is accommodating.
Yeah, let's hope so. Like, it's been beautiful in lockdown, so now the rules are easing slightly. It's typical that clouds have appeared.
Exactly. Well, listen, I hope everyone has a great weekend, and stay safe. And Ollie, thank you very much as ever for your time, and love to see you.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thanks everyone.